So good day everyone. So for today's discussion, we're going to talk about assessing student learning outcomes and modern educational practices, a comprehensive overview of assessment strategies and educational shifts. So here's the table of contents. Number 1 is assessing student learning outcomes. Number 2 is shift to educational focus from content to learning outcomes. Number 3 is authentic assessment tools. Number 4 is process and product performance-based assessment. And 5 is domains of learning. So here's our objectives. At the end of discussion, the student will be able to explain what student learning outcomes are, discuss the difference between process-based and product-based assessments, and introduce Bloom's taxonomy and the 3 domains of learning. So the learning outcomes are explain the advantages of focusing on learning outcomes, discuss why assessing these outcomes is critical in education, and last is analyze how educators can design assessments to target all 3 domains. So what is assessing student learning outcomes? So nakalagay rito is formalized processes to collect and analyze learning outcome data that will be evaluated to derive meaning and purposeful use of the data for learning enhancement. So kumbaga sa learning outcomes, dito yung nakalagay yung mga statements na kailangan matutunan or ma-gain na lesson ng isang student. So assessment is meaningless unless evaluation occurs. So let's differentiate the two. So sa assessment kasi, ito yung dito nanggagaling yung learning or feedback from the student to instructor. While yung evaluation naman, dito naman nanggagaling yung feedback from the instructor to student. So kumbaga mas kung wala yung isa, hindi siya mag-work. So kailangan ang assessment is laging may kasamang evaluation. So here's is the 3 domain na kailangan is nakalagay sa learning outcomes. The first one is cognitive. So apply the purpose and principles of assessment to your real world, unique learning environment to enable the design of assessment strategies for all domains of learning. So when we say cognitive, di ba dito is nakafocus sa mind natin. So kumbaga, yung mga nagigay natin learnings na lesson sa bawat topic is dapat may apply natin siya sa totoong buhay or sa mga real life scenarios. Second one naman is psychomotor. Implement 1, active learning, CAT or classroom assessment techniques. So kumbaga dito, yung mga lesson na nagigain mo or yung mga learnings na nagigain mo is ma-apply mo siya physically, kumbaga magagawa mo siya. For example, ang topic natin is about basketball. Yung mga skills doon na mga nadidiscuss, pwede mo na siyang may apply or gawin mo yung mga skills na yun. And last one is affective. Compose a one-sentence summary which describes what you believe to be the overarching value inherent in the assessment of student learning outcomes. So dito naman sa affective, napapasok na dito yung opinion or yung subjective thought ng isang bata. So kumbaga, for example, kung magbibigay tayo ng example na affective ng learning outcomes, kumbaga ma-appreciate mo yung isang learning na yun na may apply niya sa pang daily living niya na learning.
And now, let's proceed to method used to assess learning outcomes. The first one is quizzes and tests. Dito po yung pumapasok na after discussion ng isang teacher is nagpapa-quiz sila or nagpapa-short quiz like multiple choice, true or false, short answer and essay para malaman kung may naintindihan ba yung learners doon sa discussion na yun. The next one is written assignments. Ito naman po ay nagpapaiwan ng activities or assignment yung teacher para mag-gain or mas ma-enhance pa yung writing skills and critical thinking ng isang students or learners. And the next one is oral presentation. Dito ay hinahayaan ng isang teacher o ng isang guro na mag-present ng kanilang group presentation ang students para mas ma-enhance yung kanilang communication and public speaking skills. And the next one is class discussion. Hinahayaan naman ng guro dito na makipag-participate yung learners doon sa isang lesson or sa discussion ng guro para mas ma-assess yung understanding and critical thinking skills ng students. And the last one is reflective journals. It is the students keep a journal of their thoughts or pinapagawa ng teacher or ng guro ng reflection paper ng ang isang students para ma-assess yung self-awareness and reflective thinking ng isang students. Now, let's differentiate the traditional content-focused education and outcome-based education. But now, I discuss the traditional content-focused education. It emphasizes the transmission of knowledge and information, focuses on the delivery of specific content such as textbooks, lectures, and homework. Typically assists student learning through multiple choice tests, quizzes, and exams. Prioritize covering a wide range of content, often without considering the relevance or importance of each topic. Often prioritizes rote memorization and regurgitation of information rather than critical thinking and problem-solving skills. May not consider the student prior knowledge or experiences, may not provide opportunities for students to apply what they have learned to real-world situation, and may not emphasize the development of soft skills such as communication, teamwork, and time management. Dito sa traditional content-focused education is mas kumukuha ng or nagbe-base yung teacher doon sa libro or textbooks na pinagkukunan nila ng content na i-discuss nila doon sa mga learners nila. Dahil dito sa traditional content-focused education ay mas hindi pa masyadong ginagamit yung technologies. And also dito ay mas pinaprioritize ng mga teacher na ma-discuss or matapos nila yung isang quarter ng lesson na yon kumpara na maintindihan yung discussion or lesson ng mga students. And also dito naman ay hindi na de-develop yung skills like communication, teamwork, and time management ng learners or students nila at hindi rin nila na-a-apply sa outside world kung ano yung mga naituturo sa kanila sa loob ng schools. Now, let's discuss the outcome-based education. It emphasizes the development of specific skills, knowledge, and attitudes that are relevant to real-world situations, focuses on the outcomes or results that students are expected to achieve rather than just the content being covered, typically assists student learning through authentic assessments such as projects, presentation, and performance. Prioritizes developing deep understanding and application of concepts rather than just memorization. Considers the student's prior knowledge and experiences when planning instruction, provides opportunities for students to apply what they have learned to real-world situation, emphasizes the development of soft skills such as communication, teamwork, and time management. And lastly, encourages students' autonomy and self-directed learning. At ito naman yung kabaliktaran ng traditional content-focused education. Yung outcome-based education ay mas ini-emphasize na ma-develop yung specific skills like knowledge and attitudes ng learners na relevant doon sa real-world situation. And also dito ay ginagamit yung projects, presentation, performance kumpara doon sa traditional content-focused education. Dahil dito ay mas pinaprioritize din nila na ma-develop yung deep understanding and application of concept ng students kumpara sa i-memorize lang or kumpara sa memorization ng learners. And dito ay mas prioridad din nila yung knowledge and experiences ng students at mai-apply ito sa real-world situation. Kumbaga parang binibigyan ng oportunidad yung estudyante na ma-apply yung natutunan niya sa schools sa outside, kapag nasa outside world na sila. At mas lalong dinidevelop yung skills like communication, teamwork, and time management ng learners kumpara doon sa traditional content-focused learning.
Okay, let's move on to advantage of learning outcomes. The first one is clear goals. Focusing on learning outcomes helps to clarify the learning objectives and goals, ensuring that the students know what is expected of them. So the advantage of learning outcomes in providing clear goals lies in their ability to define specific, measurable, and achievable expectation for both educators and students. So here po, nakafocus na yung mga students, stick to one lang sila sa kanilang goals. Nakatutok din po ito sa achievement and they need to attain the learning outcomes. So, number 2, improve student motivation. When students understand what they are working towards, they are more likely to be motivated to learn and achieve the outcomes. So, for example po, natuturo ka sa school and then yung students are enjoying your discussion because they understand what you are talking in front. So, they are more likely to be motivated to learn. And then, so the third one, increase relevance. Learning outcomes are often tied to real-world application, making the learning more relevant and meaningful to students. So, the focus on learning outcomes in increasing relevance ensures that education is not just about acquiring knowledge, but also about developing relevant skills and competencies that prepare students for real-world challenges. The third one, better assessment. Focusing on learning outcomes allows for more authentic and meaningful assessments such as projects and presentations rather than just multiple choice tests. So here po, student skills is more important than written assessment. The last one po is improved feedback. Learning outcomes provide a clear framework for giving feedback to students, helping them to identify areas for improvement and set goals for future learning. So for example, nagpa-reporting and then yung instructor ay nag-critic doon sa reporting kung ano nga ba yung mga kakulangan ng student na dapat pa nilang ma-show doon sa reporting nila. And dito rin po na de-develop yung kanilang strategy sa pag-report and mas ma-enhance pa po yung skills nila sa reporting or anumang pinapagawa sa kanila. We have the examples of advantage in learning outcomes. The first one is project-based learning. A project-based learning involves students designing, developing, and constructing hands-on solutions to a problem. The educational value of PBL is that it aims to build students' creative capacity to work through difficult or ill-structured problems, commonly in small teams. So, for example, a math teacher might have students design and build a bridge using mathematical concepts rather than just teaching formulas and equations. The number 2, competency-based progression is where each student progress toward clearly defined goals is continually assessed. A student advances and earns credit as soon as she demonstrates mastery. The student masters skills at their own pace. So, for example, here a language arts teacher might have students complete a series of writing tasks that demonstrate their mastery of specific writing skills such as persuasive writing or narrative writing. Authentic assessment focuses on students using and applying knowledge and skills in real-life settings. So, for example, a science teacher might have students design and conduct an experiment to test a scientific hypothesis rather than just taking a quiz on the topic. So the last one, learning contrasts. Learning contrasts are agreements between you and your students that outline specific learning goals, expectations, and steps necessary in order to achieve those goals. This activity is often used as a tool for promoting students' ownership and self-directed learning, among other benefits for you and your class. So, for example of this is students set goals and objectives for themselves, with teachers providing guidance and support. This approach encourages students to take ownership of their learning and focuses on the outcomes they want to achieve.
Okay, proceed naman tayo sa authentic assessment tools. Authentic assessment tools are designed to measure student learning in a more meaningful and realistic way by asking students to apply what they have learned to the real-world scenarios or problems. So, dito naman sa authentic assessment tools, the teachers or the professors are conducting the meaningful activities para sa darating na when the students are in the real world, mas ma-apply nila ng proper way yung mga skills and knowledge na natutunan nila sa loob ng classroom. And by using authentic assessment tools, educators can gain a more comprehensive understanding of students' learning and achievements while also preparing students for real-world challenges and applications like what I said earlier. Authentic assessment tools, according to the National Centers for Education Statistics or NCES, authentic assessment is a method of evaluation that asks students to demonstrate their knowledge and skills by performing tasks that are similar to those they would encounter in real-life situations. So just like what I said earlier, the teachers are conducting the reliable activities para sa mga student or sa mga learners na sa mga kinukuha nilang courses para ma-apply nila ng maayos yung mga learning and mga knowledge na nag-gain nila sa schools. Okay, proceed tayo sa examples ng authentic assessment tools. First, project. Student work on a real-world problem or scenario and demonstrate their understanding and skills through a final product. So, example natin dito ay yung work immersion. Especially sa mga eduk student. The teacher are conducting the work immersion para sa mga eduk student para magkaroon sila ng advantage and para malaman na nila agad kung ano yung mga possibilities and mga dapat gawin pag nasa field na sila. And the second is presentations. Students present their work or findings to an audience, demonstrating their ability to communicate complex information. So, basic example of this are the reporting para mahasa yung skills ng isang student. Okay, proceed naman tayo sa portfolios. Student collect and showcase their work over time, demonstrating their progress and growth. Dito naman sa portfolios, dito nakapaloob yung mga quizzes, activities, written exam, buong semester, para malaman kung gaano na ba kalawak yung kaalaman ng isang student. And next is case studies. Student analyze and solve real-world problems or scenarios, demonstrating their critical thinking and problem solving. So, basic example of this is the research or the thesis. Sa research pa lang, doon pa lang nasusubok na yung critical thinking and problem solving ng isang student. And the last is service learning project. Student work on a project that benefits on the community, demonstrating their applications of skills and knowledge. So, example dito is yung sa health subject, imbis na itapon yung mga recycle bottle, mas mainam na gagamitin natin to siya para maging benefits sa isang community. Like for example, sa bottle, pwede siyang gawing lalagyan ng halaman. So that would be all.
So next is the process-based assessment. So what is process-based assessment? Well, process-based assessment focus on the thinking, problem-solving, and decision-making skills used to complete a task. Evaluate student learning and understanding through observation, self-assessment, and peer assessment. Emphasize student autonomy, choice, and ownership of their learning. Can be more time-consuming and labor-intensive for teachers to assess. And lastly, can be more subjective and dependent on teachers' judgment. So here are the example of process-based assessment. A student is asked to create a persuasive essay on a topic of their choice. The teacher evaluates the student writing process, including their brainstorming, outlining, drafting, and revising skills. So, process-based assessment looks at how students achieve their result, is assessing their method strategies and thought processes. Next is the product-based assessment. What are product-based assessment? Well, product-based assessment focus on the final product or outcome produced by student, evaluate student learning and understanding through standardized criteria and rubrics, emphasize student achievement and mastery of specific skill or knowledge, can be faster and more efficient for teachers to assess, and lastly, can be more objective and reliable. So here are the example of product-based assessment. A student is asked to write a short story about a character overcoming a challenge. The teacher evaluates the student final based criteria such as plot development, character development, and writing skills. So, product-based assessment evaluates the end result of a student work, focusing on the quality and correctness of the final output.
Let's proceed to the 3 domain learnings of Bloom's taxonomy. First, we have a cognitive, second is psychomotor, and lastly is affective domain. So, cognitive, it means it involving learning and application of knowledge. It have a 6 levels from lowest to highest. First is knowledge, recalling facts. Dito nakapaloob yung remembering and recalling the information na diniscuss ng teachers. And next is comprehension, seeing relationships. Dito sa comprehension, dapat hindi lang natin alam or hindi lang dapat natin natatandaan yung mga information, dapat naintindihan din natin yung mga information na diniscuss ng teacher. And next is application. So, dito sa application, dapat may apply ng students yung mga natutunan niya during discussion sa ma-apply ng isang students sa in real life situations, yung mga natutunan niya. Next is analysis, breaking information into parts. Kumbaga dito, iniisa-isa yung mga informations para mas maintindihan at malaman ng mga students ang mga dapat pa nilang malaman. And then next is synthesis. Synthesis, forming new information. It also process of analyzing and evaluating information from various sources para makabuo tayo ng new information. And the lastly is the evaluation. It is the highest level of domain cognitive, which is judging value. Dito na kung saan yung students ay makakapag-evaluate, judgment, and decision making. The second domain is the domain psychomotor. So, domain psychomotor involves development of the body and skills it performs. So, it have 6 levels from lowest to highest. First is perception, awareness of need. Kailangan yung isang tao is maging aware sa lahat ng bagay. So, dapat mabilis yung critical thinking skills ng isang tao, at kailangan kapag gagawa tayo ng mga decisions ay kailangan alam natin yung mga consequences. And next is set. Set is mental, physical, emotional readiness to perform. Kumbaga dito ay kailangan holistically ready ka na. And next is guided response, skill performed by imitation, trial, and error. So, dito yung mga mistakes or error na ginawa mo or ginawa ng isang tao ay dito sa domain psychomotor ay dapat maayos mo nang magagawa siya in a proper way. So, let's proceed with the mechanism. Mechanism is a habitual scaled performance. So, kumbaga dito, likas na sa isang individual yung mahusay na ginagawa niya palagi. And then, next is complex response, smooth, efficient, automatic. Kumbaga dito, mabilis or automatic yung isang tao na mag-respond sa lahat ng bagay or sa mga decision or decision in real life situations. And lastly is origination. It is the adaptation to conditions. The third domain is affective. Domain affective addresses the acquisition of attitudes and values. It have 5 levels from lowest to highest. First is receiving. Willingness to hear. It is willingness or ability ng students na makinig sa information or discussion ng teachers. And next is responding. Willingness to react. Example dito yung participation ng students during classes. And next is valuing. Demonstrating commitment. Example dito is working in a group. A desire to improve commitment to assume responsibility. Organization, establishing pervasive values. It also refers to the emotional, attitude, and value-based aspects of human behavior. Let's proceed to the highest level of domain affective, which is the characterization, demonstrating characteristics of a unique individual. Dito na ipapakita yung iba't ibang characteristic ng isang individual.
To sum it up, assessing student learning outcomes and incorporating modern educational practices are very crucial because they enable educators to evaluate the effectiveness of their teaching methods, identify areas for improvement, and provide personalized feedback to students. This helps to ensure that students are achieving the desired learning outcomes and are prepared for success in their future academic and professional pursuits. Additionally, incorporating modern educational practices such as technology-enhanced learning and project-based learning can help to engage students, increase their motivation, and promote deeper learning and understanding. So, do you have any clarifications or questions regarding to our lesson today? If none, that will be all, and I hope you learned something for today's discussion. See you in our next class discussion.